Hello humans, welcome back to my makeup room. My name is Martha if you've never been here before, and I post makeup related content on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. If that interests you and you enjoy what you're watching, please hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Today we're going to do the eyeshadow palette tag that's been floating around. I don't know who created it, but there's a whole schwack of people that have done it, so just search the tag on YouTube and you'll find loads and loads of videos. So let's get into it. There's about 14 questions, so let's just start off. First prompt is show us your newest palette. My newest palette is the Suva Beauty Rose Period palette. I got this in a Tribe Beauty box, the April box, and I've only actually used it the one time. I don't know if this is going to turn into a review video, but I've used it once. It was okay. It didn't build up super well, so I'm going to try and use it more as like a basic eyeshadow palette, not for super extravagant looks, but it's a cute little pinky mauve palette. Next is your oldest palette. I don't really know, but I'm gonna go with my Juvia's Place palettes. So I'm gonna show you the Tribe one. This is a really gorgeous green palette. It's got some warm tones, some neutrals. I don't tend to use the oranges in here, but I love the greens. And I believe my Juvia's Place palettes are my oldest palettes. It's hard to say. The next prompt is your most expensive palette. And if you've seen the video using this little beauty, you know this is the most expensive palette I own. I did not, however, pay full price for it. So I don't know if it's still probably the most expensive palette I've paid for. I got this on Poshmark for quite a deal. One of the shades is broken, but it was just another gold metallic, and there's plenty of those. And this is what it looks like. Great quality, beautiful eyeshadows, lovely colors, very expensive. If you are super into the color story, I would definitely recommend checking out the Alter Ego formula because they have a dupe for this, but I can't get that because I'm in Canada. They don't ship internationally. But that's the most expensive one I have. Just a Kleenex box fell down. It's all good. Now, the most affordable palette you own. This is from I Heart Revolution. This is the Tasty Avocado palette. And it is, oh come on. There we go. It's essentially a blue-green, mostly green palette. Not the best quality, but still pretty good quality. And definitely a fun concept. The next prompt is your everyday palette. This is the Urban Decay Naked Basics 2. This is my go-to sort of one shadow, just want something on my lid to give me a little bit of definition kind of palette. It's very neutral, very cool toned, which is exactly my kind of neutral. I love cool tones. It's very basic, very boring, but if I just want a little something to sweep in the crease, across the lid, just a little matte shadow, this is what I go for. Now, the most colorful palette, I believe, is the September Rose Slush 2. This is an all matte kind of rainbow palette, and what I like about this is there's a gradient. So we have this, I'm holding it upside down, but we go lightest to darkest in these little colorways, so you can really blend out the colors you have with colors in the same family, which is how I like to do my makeup. Now, while this palette has been in my collection for a while, I've only used it a couple of times and only a couple of shades actually. So I definitely need to play around with this one some more to test the quality. But for someone with a lot of eyeshadows, sometimes you can't play with them all the time, even if you want to. Now, the smallest eyeshadow palette. is this little guy right here, the Kaja Bento Box. This is the Rose Water Trio. This one is one of the all shimmery ones. I've heard the matte formula is like fine, but what you really want is the shimmers. So we have a pale pink with kind of a blue shift, a darker pink, and a purpley magenta kind of a shade. And they all fit together in this little package. It's very cute. Little, kind of a topper accent little palette guy. And I'm glad that I have it. I think this top shade, I'm getting a ton of use out of. It's so pretty. The next prompt is obviously the largest palette. And I'm proud to say, this is as big as we get in my collection. This is the September Rose Slush Original Palette. It is 25 eyeshadows, and same concept as the other Slush palette, but this one has more shades and it also has some shimmers. So it's just a really fun palette to play around with and very inspiring to me to look at. And again, we go lightest to darkest in the same color family, which I quite enjoy. Could live without all these oranges. Not super into the orange thing, and they all look very similar, but I do enjoy having this palette in my collection. The palette with the best memory. I don't really have sentimental eyeshadow palettes. Nobody's gifted me palettes. I don't have fond memories of doing my makeup with someone or shopping with someone, because that's not really something I do. I shop online. But I decided to choose the Zulu palette by Juvia's Place because this was really when I started to learn how to use colorful eyeshadows. This is one of my first colorful palettes and I got so much inspiration from these shades. I can definitely credit some of my journey to this palette right here. So my memory is my makeup journey, I guess. Learning how to do makeup. For a palette that is worth the hype, I decided to go with a brand overall, but I will show you one palette. This is from Kaleidos Makeup. This is the Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise. That's what it looks like. I don't know if this palette in particular has been hyped up, but definitely the brand as a whole has been hyped up. Lots of sort of mid to small sized influencers got PR from them and have been really raving about them, and they are not lying. These are fantastic eyeshadows. They're just beautiful. They're pigmented, they're blendable, they're gorgeous. They're just stunning. The color stories are just phenomenal. I mean, look at this. It's beautiful. So, definitely worth the hype if you were looking into Kaleidos eyeshadow palettes. Now, a palette I don't think is worth the hype is the ABH Nervina palette. And this might just be a personal preference thing, but I just find that this palette is not very inspiring. It's too muted. The pink and the purple are just not, they're just not amazing. They are too muted to actually be purple and pink really on the eyes. This purple shimmer is a different tone. It's much more warm toned than this sort of periwinkle blue shade. So they don't really even go together, in my opinion. I don't know. The shimmers are all just kind of neutral, boring, kind of look the same. I mean, look, did we really need all three of these? I don't think we did. And then we have this corner of warm shades, which I don't particularly enjoy. I mean, the quality's good, the shimmers are nice, but I just don't think this color story is really anything exciting. And I like a good, like, neutral palette. I like to have shadows that I can, like, wear to work and stuff, but this just, it doesn't inspire me. I just don't love it. Oh, show your favorite palette from a favorite brand. Okay, we're gonna switch the Kaleidos palettes. We're gonna pretend I showed the teal one for this one because it is my favorite from Kaleidos. But second to that is the Futurism 4 VR Neon from Kaleidos. And it's this beautiful, beautiful palette right here. Got two amazing shimmers and beautiful neon shades. I mean, just look at that. It's so gorgeous. So we'll say that this one is worth the hype. And the other one is my favorite because I like, I mean, the quality equally, but the color story of the Electro Turquoise is just, soothes my soul. It's just beautiful. Next we have my most used palettes, and that is the Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves palette. And if you are watching any of my project pans, you will be able to see how this is the most used. I have a pan in here, and this is a really good everyday pinky, but not too pink kind of a palette, easy to wear to work, and that's why I've gotten so much use out of it. I wear it to work all the time. Nothing too exciting, but still a very solid palette. The final category is the most underrated palette. Now I have a lot of mainstream makeup, I have a lot of indie makeup, but the brand that I don't hear a ton of people talking about is Nomad Cosmetics. They have a great formula going, and so I decided to choose the Nomad Tokyo Harajuku palette, which is coincidentally what I'm wearing on my eyes today. It is this lovely little pastel color story with these multi-chrome shadows that are very similar in consistency to a Colourpop Supershock, and it's just beautiful. The mattes are very kick-uppy, but they're very pigmented and lovely. I'll just give you a couple to look at. And they're just beautiful. It's very fun to play with, very inspiring, and I think more people should be talking about Nomad. I think they're overall kind of an underrated makeup brand, even in the sort of indie community. And that concludes this video of the eyeshadow palette tag from my perspective. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and ring the bell to become a Pavlovian dog. I'll see you next time. Bye!